Right, so driver's side now, and as I thought, this side is actually a lot worse than the passenger side. Around the fuel filler, as I already knew, I think I pointed out before, it's in a right state, but I have a new panel which replaces all of this. The wheel arch part it's got on it actually goes down to about here, but this is all really good, so I'm not going to interfere with all this because it's as solid as anything and it's nice underneath. So I'll probably be cutting it probably around about here, say, like so. Cut it right across there and along there, or along here actually, right the way up. So this part will all be coming out of here. Probably get a new surround there for the filler cap because it's had it basically. Excuse me. Here will be the same as the other side. Cut that out. Put a new piece in there. Inside, which I don't know if I'll be able to show you, but the pillar inside through there has got a nice big hole in it. So when all this comes out, I'll be able to cut out and plate up inside here, this pillar down here. Then here, the seatbelt mounting is quite solid, but it's been not very well repaired, and it actually looks like there's galvanised sheet mixed in with the original mild steel here. But it's in a right mess. All this up to, well, including that, so up to around about here. So this will be coming out around here. Then I'll be able to see what it's like inside there, like it was on the other side. If you remember, they had that big hole on the inside there. There's another diesel expansion tank under here, which I've got to take out. But all this along here is okay. All this, like so. So if you can picture a new area in there. In here, same place as the other side, which was over there. There is it's all this rot here. Also in here, you can see it's gone through there. So I'll have to cut this out, like so. Under down here, it seems okay with the screwdriver, but there's like a thick layer of almost like bitumen. It's not undersill, it's like bitumen. So underneath there, it looks a bit lumpy. So we might have something going on under there. I thought this was a repair, but this seems to be actually moulded into the floor panel. This whole floor is covered in like a bituminous material. It's quite thick, and when I scraped it away here, the mounting for the accelerator pedal is going. I've already removed that. It's not easy to get out, but it came out no problem when I didn't want it to. There we go. So that's the accelerator pedal out. So this is all shot, so I'm going to have to cut that out. It's slightly raised, so I'll cut it out carefully and use that as a sort of a reference for making up a new piece. There's a raised edge there and raised down here. So there's all that bituminous stuff there. Right, the step, that there, that's all rotten, so you can be sure underneath here, like the other side, that's all rotten. There as well, that doesn't look too sound, and so on. Along here it's a bit rough. It might be alright, I don't know. Here, this will probably mean taking the door off, which isn't a difficult job. There's 2 bolts there and 2 bolts up there. In here looks like there's a lot going on, so I'm basically going to have to take the door off and sort this lot out. It's probably going to be a case of cutting along, cutting that section out like so, because down here you can actually see light through there. There's daylight. Yeah, it looks like a fiberglass coating actually. If I had my screwdriver on me, I'd rip that off right now. But it looks like a plasticky fibre sort of gel coating. So I'll be repairing all this in here as well. Corner of the door's not too good, but that's not a structural thing. Oh yeah, that's all there. That's all going in there. So at some point in the far future there might be a new door, or a good second-hand door to go in there. Along here looks quite good, unlike the other side, up to there of course. And that's the first area of rot cut out and cut back to sound metal and ground back on the edges, ready for welding. The rot under here was quite extensive. That's the fuel filler neck there. When I come to welding here, I've got a rag in there, but I'm going to cover it in a soaking wet rag and then prop it out the way, probably with a piece of wood up against there to keep it out the way. So this is carpet here. This is carpet, so it's not rusty metal. I've had to cut that out of there, all the way around there, and up and under, like so. Down here. All this is very sound. That's okay because that's the bit I repaired when I did along there in the beginning. And the actual wheel arch itself is all sound. So I won't be replacing all this because that would just be extra work, be pointless. So I'm going to be cutting out the area in the repair patch, panel, and fitting it in there. So, but my very first bit of welding is going to be putting an L-shaped piece in here, like that, and then filling in around this area, and then putting in a piece from there down to there, like so, and then along there, and in here, together with the new seatbelt mounting right there. And this is the first repair patch made up. Fits in there like that. Go in there rather nicely. All it is a piece of metal which I cut out with a little cutout in there and hammered it over in the vise. Very important, I think, to have a vise at least with stuff like this. Trying to bend sheet metal on a table without some means of clamping it in place is a bit difficult, as I know from my younger days when I hardly had any tools. And that's the first piece welded in. That's the next bit in there, welded up under there. Ow. And down there. And down there. So there'll be a piece to go in down here. And then the next job will probably be either put that on there or do this along here. And that's the next piece in. So this part is now welded up. So the next step, I believe, I'll put the metal along there. And that's that piece in there with the seatbelt mount welded all round. There's a piece to put in there, and then the bit to go in here. and then I've got a piece to go, just a little bit in there, but first I have to put a piece in there which then comes along down to here, like so, and then that bit across there. So the next one is that. And that's that one in, still nice and hot. Nicely welded in, nice and solid. And there's that piece in there, that little infill bit, and this bit in here. Which fills in that gap nicely. I've even put a little rounded edge on there like that, which I did with a pair of adjustable pliers. And the next step will be to put in the triangular infill piece in there, and then I'll put the fuel filler section in. That's the infill section in there, like so. Just that little a little gap to do by there, and a little hole to clear out which appeared here, so there's probably a little rusty bit in here, so I'll clear that out. So that's that. And next will be the fuel filler section to go in there. So this is the fuel filler section cut out and ready for welding in. Quite pleased with the fit of that. Needs a bit sort of tacking in the corners, and then just pushing in at the top and tacking there, same there, and then pushing in at the top, and that should fit very nicely indeed. That's the fuel filler section welded in, with the new plastic doodah in there as well. Incidentally, these things are a pain to fit. You've got to go in and twist, but unless every single one of those prongs is spot on and there's absolutely no crud in these like spigots, you're going to have a right job. You've got a little bit of bending of the tags and clearing out anything in there, and eventually they do go on. And that is the fuel filler section area finished. Well, apart from that little patch just in there. If I say so myself, I'm very, very pleased with that. Very pleased. So a little bit of finishing off to do. But all in all, very happy indeed. Right, so I'm on the seat sort of box, seat pan now, and I marked out all the way around, and then I cut it out. This is how you cut out a corroded section in the easiest way. Just cut all round it. So I've taken that whole rusty section out. You can see where it's worked its way through from the wheel arch underneath, like so, and eaten all the way around. So that's done with. So I'm now left with this nice neat section right by here. It's going to be a case of I'll put a full piece of metal in right the way along to fill this section in along here, and then there'll be one in there and up to there, and then there'll be a piece in there like so, and then a piece in here So there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces, and this one that goes along here, I'll put an edge on it like that, carry it on through, and I might even do a little dent in here in this one, so it's like that there. So it's like these shapes that have been formed in here. So the next one is, the first piece is to put in that section. And the first piece of the seat repair is in, like so. And now I've cut the other piece to suit, and it's sitting in there ready to weld into place. And that's that one welded in there. So it's starting to come together quite well. I'm left with that piece there and that piece up there. And that's the seat box repair finished. That's the side there, all nicely welded together. The welds actually look better in the flesh than they do on the camera. Well, good enough for me anyway. As few pinholes as possible, but it'll all be sealed up on the other side with seam sealer. So that is the fuel filler section and the seat box repaired. For the next part, I've taken the door off, which will make it a hell of a lot easier to get down here, which enables me to see exactly what I'm dealing with. The hole there, already knew about. That's quite solid there. It's got this, the accelerator pedal mounting to deal with. Not too sure about this bit here. Need to have a look at that. Mind you, it feels very good from the other side. It feels very good. Nice and smooth. Right, so I've got that hole there. Underneath, undecided. I may not go as far as I did on the other side, which was cut the whole step out, because underneath here it feels quite solid. There's no bubbling up along the underside of this seam here, so it could just be a case of cutting this lot out here. And this is what I'm dealing with here. This isn't as bad as I thought. This pillar inside here is nice and solid. Might be a tiny little bit there, like so. But this is all shot. This is all shot. So we're looking at, provided this here is okay. I'll feel up underneath. Yeah, that feels quite good. Feels very good. So what we're looking at here will be, for the moment, a cut along there, like so. I won't interfere with this lot here. So a cut along, and then probably down there. Redo this bit, like so. So reasonably straightforward. When I've cut this out, there's a little bit of rot in the chassis leg there. I've got some 3mm thick steel which I can weld in there, so I might just have to cut a little bit out. I mean, it all feels very good, just this little hole which an MOT tester might spot. I mean, that hole there, actually, feeling it from the other side, I could drill that out. That little hole there, I could drill that out into a circle, so it just looks like any other hole that you might get, say like in this pillar here. There's a prefabbed hole there, so I could drill that out and then it will just look like a hole. So these are the jobs here. With a bit of luck, shouldn't take too long. Well, I've been cutting out all the rubbish now, and there's a good solid bit in the middle there. Cutting out round here, which is, I can now see what's going on in here. All this is very solid. There's actually white paint under this lot. That's all nice and solid. This here is still nice and thick, just very rusty on the front. So what I'll probably do, like I say, is I'll drill that or Dremel that hole out nice and round. Same with that one there. So it's not a closed box, this, it's actually open inside. So I'll Dremel that one out, because it's only a small hole. And then I'll rust treat all of this, and then paint it with some Hammerite Smooth. So this hasn't, like I said before, the rust hasn't gone back as far as I thought. So this nice bit of reconstructive surgery needed here. Little word of warning for anyone who's going to be doing any repairs here. Luckily I was cutting carefully, because I didn't realise that underneath here is the accelerator cable attached to a bracket underneath there. So luckily I didn't cut through it, otherwise I'd have to buy a new one. The cable goes along, comes from the engine round the back there, comes through the van, runs along and goes to the linkage, which you can just see the edge of in there. And it does work, like so. So I'll disconnect the cable from that linkage under there. So if you're cutting that out, be careful. And that's the throttle mount section cut out. I've cut it out in one piece. Like I said before, I'll be using that as a mould or a template to make a replacement, because the throttle pedal section has to be raised so you can get the right angle of travel. Otherwise I wouldn't get full throttle, and I wouldn't be blowing away all those Ferrari F40s that litter our streets. I've welded a plate over the rusty part. I cut out the actual rusty bit, wire brushed the rest down, and I've put a plate over that. So that's the chassis nicely repaired there, nice and strong. So I'll now just slap some Smooth-Right on it, black Smooth-Right. This is the piece I've made up to go in here, which it's got a curve to it and fits in there just so. When you're doing stuff like this, you can weld it, a couple of tacks at each end, then put a tack a bit further on, and then you can pull the metal down to meet it, and you can shape it to fit exactly as you go. And then once you've tacked all round, you can just weld it up. There's the rear of the step done. So that's a piece in there and an infill piece in there, like so. Next will be the piece that goes in there. It doesn't actually weld to the chassis rail, it just goes along and then up and then round. This is a separate panel. So that'll be the next piece. So we'll get the cardboard template treatment. Right, the pillar repair is in. Around that corner there like that. And in there. There was a bit of a gap there, so I had to fill that in with work the old weld pull and fill in with a big chunk of weld, but it's right down there. When it's painted, you're not even going to notice it. And that is the completed floor step repair thing. the throttle sort of area mounting to do, and then attack those two rusty holes that are up in there. And that's gone together quite nicely. Rust free. This is the accelerator mounting section, which has got to go in there, like so. Still quite warm. I've cut off the old bracket from underneath the bit I cut out and welded it back onto there. So that's on there nicely. Always a good sign you've got a good weld if you get good heat marks like that either side of your weld, sort of like that all the way along. Sign of good penetration of the weld, that. So that's ready to, once I've fed the cable back in through those brackets, that's ready to weld back in there. And the throttle repair mounting is in place, welded all round. I've positioned the throttle against the marks which are left from the years of the pedal touching there, which is like a dark line there, and with the linkage pin through there, and making sure it misses this area here, because this raised part carries on, it dips down and goes in here. So I've marked the two holes which I'll drill and then pop rivet the new pedal in place there. And this is the driver's side repairs now completed. Given it a couple of coats of the black smooth right through there. Seat box painted. All done there. A temporary coating of paint to just protect the new fuel filler section. It's painted underneath. It's ready for seam sealing. For all intents and purposes, that's this section of the cab finished. We found us another little hole, needs just a small bit of work doing to it in there, and then I'll be ready to make a start on the windscreen, rubbers and bonnet section. The new bonnet section to go in there. That will be next time.